Thank you. It is now 8:21. We are back live from our closed session. No business came from the closed session that requires any sort of motion. So we're going to continue with our agenda this evening, which is now 6E. Councillor vanNieuwkerk, motion following notice addressing cleanup of current and future construction sites. With that, I'll ask the motion to be placed on the screen. I'll ask Steve to make his motion and then speak to it. When you're ready, Councillor vanNieuwkerk, it's on the screen. Can you see it from where you are?
Yeah, you bet. You bet. My motion following notice here states that by the end of October 2022, administration prepare a report on options available for addressing cleanup of current and future construction sites in Beaumont, including enhanced enforcement, education, or other possible remedies.
Thank you, Steve. It's your motion.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, so council, cleanliness concerns associated with all construction sites in Beaumont, both residential and commercial, have been brought to the attention of council and the city as of late. Despite the recent increase in those concerns, I don't think they're new concerns. It feels to me like residents are speaking up on the issue now as their patience has run thin. I firmly believe that these concerns can be actioned on and that everyone can do better. A combination of education and enforcement will be the way towards doing better. Tonight, I'm asking for council's support to ask administration to prepare this report, giving further information and possible future actions to address the concerns we've heard surrounding the lack of cleanliness at many construction sites around Beaumont. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor vanNieuwkerk. Appreciate that. Discussion on the motion or questions for Councillor vanNieuwkerk on his motion? I'll go to Sam first, followed by whoever made then. I've got a question myself towards the end. So Sam, you have the floor, please.
Yeah, thanks. And Councillor vanNieuwkerk, thanks for bringing this forward. The question I had for you is, the motion just asks for a report back. I'm assuming that as part of that report, there is going to be some budget considerations, particularly if you're looking at enhanced enforcement. I'm wondering if there was a thought in your motion to also direct administration to consider this as part of their budget process. And what I'm trying to get at here is, I'd hate for this report to come at the end of October, and maybe administration can speak to the timing, but I'd hate for it to come at the end of October and us go through and say, yeah, based on this, we think we need some enhanced enforcement. And, we say to administration, great, is there enough time for that to be reflected in this budget year? Does administration need to consider that as we're going forward? Is the motion strong enough? I should say that it's not just a report, that there's some thought process going into the budget process around this particular item. So I'll ask that of administration.
Councillor Moncton through the mayor. We will be coming back with a recommendation based on a number of things, including the planning review that we just did, which included a number of these items. So that is a plan through budget. What this report will do is probably back up that ask, I suppose.
So my second question, if that's okay,
Please.
Was going to be directed around the value of this versus the bigger report that has come on. And so obviously, Steve, you've picked out some specific issues, and I appreciate that. I'm just curious if this is already going to be handled in the broader, or is already handled in that broader report that is coming back for us. So I'm all for getting information on this important topic. I just wondered if it was duplicated. That's all for me.
Thank you. And to be frank, I have the same concern. I think it's no secret that we have some challenges in all of these areas. That was identified in the planning review, and we are looking at some resources to help do all of those things.
So then my question would go to Steve. Hearing that answer from administration, and appreciate you may have a different opinion. Just curious on your thoughts on this motion, given that answer from administration.
Yeah, for sure. There's bigger picture work being done, and I asked myself the same question as I was sending this in. I wanted to make sure we had this discussion, because I think that well, I know that we've heard a lot in chambers and we've heard a lot over the years, and we also have a lot in front of us to start turning this around, and the conversation will come down to resourcing at budget. So I guess my question for administration, Mike, is if you didn't have this motion in front of you, does that change anything that you intend on doing?
CEO Schwartz.
At this point in time, Councillor vanNieuwkerk, I don't think so, other than developing more backup for what we're going to ask for in the budget. We've had council has had a number of groups in front of them in the last couple of months. We've had the planning study that's completed that is pointing in this direction, that we need resources. So we intend to come and ask for them based on that data, if nothing else.
Yeah, no, and I hear you. The one word that I pointedly put into this motion, Council and Mike, is education, just to, to really hone in on that, because I think we've been missing the resources to even provide that education piece, right? Does that education piece, Mike, sorry, I'm not re-asking the question, I'm just honing in, does that education piece become a part of what administration is thinking of?
CEO Schwartz.
Yes, through a number of the presentations, if you recall, we've talked about doing a better job of not only informing the folks that are doing the construction, but also the folks in the neighborhood. You heard Poonam say earlier today about placards and just letting the neighbors know that this is what's going on. Here's the number you can call. Here's our response time. So those types of pieces definitely need to be part of the solution. So the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I definitely am leaning a certain way. I would be interested in hearing if any other councillors have any views contrary to me, rescinding this notice of motion or not. Do any other councillors believe that we should move this forward, given what you've heard? I would be prepared to keep it on the table and have a vote if need be, but we have heard from administration now that it might be duplicate effort. I don't want to do that, but at the same time, I'd like to hear what others think.
Thank you, Councillor. Before I go to Councillor Tessier, Councillor Barnard, and Councillor Cook, I've got a comment myself, if you don't mind. So I understand where you're going with this, Steve, and I want to support it, but let me just preface that with a couple of things. You may recall this past spring, Council was bringing to the attention administration unsightly construction sites, primarily in the Forest Heights area for new home construction. Administration heard Council's concern loud and clear. They took significant action with our new bylaw enforcement officer, Mr. Christensen, and within a couple of days, those construction sites were cleaned up. And I've done 4 tours in that area, including one just today, because anticipation of today's motion this evening. And I talked to the 4 people who reached out to me this past spring, expressing concerns of unsightly construction sites. And all 4 people are very happy that those construction sites on new homes have been cleaned up and have been maintained cleaned up. So I don't know who these new couple residents are complaining about unsightly construction sites, because I believe we've taken some steps to remedy this. Is it perfect? No, but we've taken some significant steps. So I see this as kind of I understand your intention. I'm not being critical of your intention, but I see this as duplication of work. And I want to support it in the bigger picture, but I'm having trouble with the feedback I'm getting from residents and what I've seen today in a drive around Forest Heights and those 4 streets that are under construction, and every construction site was quite frankly quite clean, much better than it was this past spring before we took initial action. So that's my only comment for now. I'm still mulling over if you leave this motion on the table or withdraw it, but with that, I'll go to Councillor Tessier, followed by Councillor Barnhart, followed by Councillor McCook. Renee, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor vanNieuwkerk, for bringing this forward. Obviously, we've heard about these issues a lot from residents, and I'm really looking forward to the community standards bylaw coming back to see what'll change to keep construction sites a little bit cleaner. I think staffing will be important with regards to education and enforcement, due to the fact that every corner of Beaumont is under construction right now, and it's been a consistent issue. In saying that, we did see the new officer Christensen have some, I guess, solutions when he did show up, which was nice to see. But to me, we do have one person that's in charge of noxious weeds, and it seems to be working, because I haven't heard one single thing on weeds in years. So we do have those 2 casual positions for bylaw officers. I'm interested to see at budget if, from what I understand, that that's coming forward because it's been a proven issue and it'll consistently be one. Now, I go back and forth on whose job is it? Is it the development officer when they approve developments to ensure that the developers are ensuring their builders are following the bylaw and then handing fines down through the developer to the builder? Or is that a bylaw issue of them going around and again, being reactive? So I don't really know where I sit with this one. From what I understand, it's being addressed from the earlier motion. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Councillor. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to go back to the administration again, Mr. Schwartz. I think what I'm hearing you say that you wouldn't have to do another report if this motion passed, but I'm not so sure about that because just knowing how the process works, I don't want you to spend any more time writing reports. I want you to spend time doing what you said you're going to be doing. And I'm just afraid we're asking for another report that's taking away very scarce time to do that. So I just want to clarify, I support the direction this is going in, but I don't support you doing the extra work writing a report. I'd rather get out there and fix the problem, if you understand my drift. So while I appreciate where Councillor vanNieuwkerk is coming, I also heard him imply that if this is being dealt with, then we don't need another motion to cause more work. So can you just clarify? I think you did say that you would have to do another report, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me clarify. Sorry about that. This would require a specific report. It's the end of October. We'll be well into budget deliberations by then. We will have already presented to you solutions for these items. So yeah, just to finish off this item, we would do a separate report.
And just to speak to it, Mayor, I'm where you were going. I think we have, councillors have made this abundantly clear. The administration has heard us. I have no doubt that we're going to do everything we can within our budget, within our power to fix these issues. I don't want to vote against the intent of this motion, but if it stands, I would vote against the administration spending the time on this. That's just where I'm sitting right now. Not against the intent at all. Just I would rather see you focus on getting the budget in front of us with the information that we need.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard Councillor vanNieuwkerk say as well. So I think we're on the same page.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McCook, Kat, you have the floor.
Yeah, I too am in support in not moving forward with this motion if that's what everyone chooses. Obviously, we don't want to duplicate work for administration. Just in regards to CIO Schwartz, the options that you guys are looking at, is bylaw our only option? Or I think that's a little bit to what Councillor Tessier said, or are you guys considering kind of all the options? You know, can we somehow set the tone at the development permit stage or?
Need some power.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you very much, Councillor McCook. Through the mayor, we are actioning. These are typically a combination between planning and ME. We issued one today it doesn't matter which one item it is, but it's a combination of municipal enforcement working with planning. So we would send a letter. Absolutely can do a more thorough job at the permitting stage of reminding people and then getting out and having a look. And that's what it boils down to, is getting out and having a look. This year we have got so much construction going on. We've had problems with litter from the wind, and it's just been tough with the resources that we have. So we have brought in more casuals. We're doing everything we can to stay ahead of it. So none of this in this motion is going to wait until budget. We're doing what we can with what we have. And I think we're seeing some decent results already.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Miller, Ashley, you have the floor.
Yeah, just for the sake of speaking on this motion that everyone has, I'm in the same boat. I don't want a duplication of work. So whatever is the easiest, I would probably not be in support of this motion for that factor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate that. Ms. Bujaya, you wish to wade into the conversation?
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to offer that Councillor vanNieuwkerk, with the consent of council, could simply withdraw the motion, and then it would just be withdrawn and we could carry on.
Yeah, I was going to ask him once the summation was done, saying if he wishes to proceed with the motion or does it wish to withdraw it? So having said that, I am rethought my position, and I said before, I was having some concern with duplication of work and not wanting to misinterpret things, but bottom line, I felt council directed administration this past spring to take some steps, and they did that, and they did a good job of enforcing things. And I think based on my observations, the last couple of tours I did and talking to residents who had concerns, construction sites are better than they were before. Are they perfect? No, but they're better. I see this as being a duplication of work, so I had difficulty supporting the motion. So having said that, Councilman Newkirk, do you wish to proceed with the vote, or do you wish to do something different?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, fellow councillors, for weighing in here. I think this discussion was as important as anything, but I will withdraw this motion here tonight. And Mr. Schwartz, thank you for the clarification on, you know, what's going to happen based upon what's in front of you already. And as the mayor said, there is some of the, you know, efforts are already being seen. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate the discussion as well. It's a good topic to make sure it's forefront with council and administration, and we're doing the best we can to accommodate concerns of residents. But I do think we are on the right track, and we have more to do, but we're better than we were back in the spring. Thank you, Councilman Newkirk. Next on our agenda is item 7A, bylaws, 1022-22, Clean Energy Improvement Tax Bylaw, first reading. Administration, who will be speaking to this point, please? Oh, hello, Lenore. One second, where's your mic? There it is, it's red, you're good to go.
That's good now, thank you.
Thank you, please proceed.
All right, so good evening, Council and Mayor. Thank you for your time tonight. So this presentation is on the Clean Energy Improvement Tax Bylaw for Beaumont. And this is the first reading of the bylaw. Oh, I think I need a clicker. Okay. So the agenda is briefly strategic alignment and council and committee history, brief summary of CEIP, bylaw information, road to launch, and questions. So the strategic alignment and council and committee history. So participating in this program, the Clean Energy Improvement Program, which is CEIP for short, aligns with pillars in the municipal strategic plan: livability, connecting with citizens, regional collaboration and leadership, and economic prosperity. In August of 2021, Council approved the Environmental Master Plan, which provided direction to participate in the Clean Energy Improvement Program. And in May 2022, a couple months ago, the Committee of the Whole received the Introduction to the Clean Energy Improvement Program report as information. So this report and presentation summarized the CEIP program at that time, and it was in preparation for this bylaw reading today. So I'll do a brief summary of CEIP. Much of this was discussed in the last presentation, so I won't go into too much detail this time. But a quick refresher is that it is a program that aims to increase green energy upgrades for properties to reduce the use of energy and reduce impacts to the environment and achieve sustainability goals. Eligible projects include energy efficiency upgrades and renewable energy installations, such as solar panels, furnaces, windows, doors, and more. Property owners can finance clean energy upgrades and pay the cost back over time through their property taxes. CEIP is administered by Alberta Municipalities, which is a not-for-profit association. And the benefits of the Clean Energy Improvement Program include it increases the resiliency of infrastructure, lowers utility bills, reduces energy use and impacts to the environment, and it can help achieve sustainability goals. With the successful application for funding, the first 4 years of the program can be funded through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, where they have a grant and loan program for CEIP. So briefly, how CEIP works. So the initial step is the municipality passes the bylaw and sources funding for the program through FCM or another lending institution. Once the program is ready to launch, then the property owner visits the CEIP website to pre-qualify, select a qualified contractor. After that, the CEIP project is approved by administration, which is by the administrator, which is Alberta Municipalities, and then the eligible upgrades are installed. Then Alberta municipalities would confirm that the project is installed. They'd request the funds from the municipality. We would send them that money and they would pay the contractor directly. And the fifth step is the municipality records the project cost on the property tax roll, and the property owner repays the municipality over time. And then in terms of the roles and responsibilities, so Alberta municipalities supports the development of CEIP bylaws and the program design. They act as a hub for municipalities, property owners, and qualified contractors. They lead program administration, and they do the application processing and technical reviews. They onboard contractors, and they provide customer service. They also verify project completion and accept funds from municipalities to transfer payments to contractors. And the role of the municipality is that we would develop and endeavor to pass a CEIP bylaw, and the bylaw requires council approval. Apply for a grant and loan through FCM, if applicable. Source funds to capitalize the program from a lending institution. Work with Alberta municipalities to design the program, and execute financing agreements with property owner. Verify the applicant is in good standing, and record the collection of CEIP tax. We'd also provide the funds to Alberta municipalities to pay the contractors and conduct marketing and communication efforts and events. So in terms of the actual Clean Energy Improvement Tax Bylaw, which we're having the first reading today. So as per the Municipal Government Act, a council who wishes to establish CEIP must pass a Clean Energy Improvement Tax Bylaw. This bylaw authorizes council to impose a clean energy improvement tax for approved clean energy property improvements to recover the costs. And requirements for this bylaw are outlined in the Municipal Government Act and in the CEIP regulation. So there's some specific terms and limits that are placed in the bylaw by each municipality. So Beaumont has listed the following. Maximum amount of money that may be borrowed on this bylaw is 4 million. And these terms and limits are based on the population of Beaumont, as well as other financial decisions internally. So this is what is currently recommended for Beaumont. Borrowed amount will have a maximum interest rate of 9% and maximum repayment term of 25 years for sums borrowed. So these are all maximums, and we can choose other numbers within our terms and conditions of the programs, but just based on the bylaw, we can't exceed these numbers. And so this bylaw has been reviewed internally by Legislative Services and externally by Alberta municipalities. And if this bylaw passes the first reading, a public hearing and a second and third reading would be scheduled for the fall of 2022. And then for the road to launch, so first step, obtain internal approval to work on CEIP, present to the committee of the whole, create an internal CEIP team. So that has been done in terms of members from Legislative Services, Finance, Infrastructure, Communications, and Planning and Development. Fourth, develop the CEIP bylaw and conduct the first reading. 5, public hearing and second and third reading of bylaw. Incorporate estimated program costs in the 2023 proposed budget. We do anticipate that a lot of these project costs would be offset by FCM funding, so we would make a note of that in the proposed budget. We would apply for FCM funding. We would develop targeted marketing, communications, and engagement material, finalize detailed program design, and then complete public engagement, and then proceed to launch, which would be 2023 if approved. All right, so thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. Questions from council before I look for the motion to accept first reading? Seeing no questions of, oh, sorry. Steve, I guess you're up.
Yeah, you bet. Can you hear me, Bill?
A little muffled, but please proceed.
Yeah, you bet.
Better.
Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's only one question that I've received on the CEIP program, and it was just from one person, and it was surrounding what if the contractor that I want to use isn't on the list, and concern that contractor pool might not be what they would expect it to be. I did a little bit of poking around and I couldn't find if there was a preferred contractor list or anything around that. Just if administration has anything to add there. Is there a list somewhere that I didn't find or that I can direct the person to?
Yeah, they do have to be a qualified contractor under CEIP. So there is, on the CEIP website, there is qualified contractors. And if Beaumont becomes a part of this, there would be a list for Beaumont for the area. So you can put in a municipality and it'll show you a list of qualified contractors. So they do have to be on the list, but my understanding is that Alberta municipalities wants to onboard those contractors. So if they work to meet all the requirements, they should be able to become qualified.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah, if we get to a point where you hit Beaumont and then you drop down a list, I think that's probably satisfies what the person was asking. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions from council, is a member of council willing to move first reading based on the report presented? Steve, your hand's still up. Or is that for to make the motion or?
Sure, I can make the motion.
Sure, please. If you see it on the screen, please proceed.
Yeah, that bylaw 1022-22, a bylaw that establishes the Clean Energy Improvement Tax Program, be given first reading. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Question on the motion? Seeing none, council, please vote based on the motion. Councillor Newkirk, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Council passed unanimously. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you, council, for voting.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is 8 councillor inquiries, responses, and reports. Are there any councillor inquiries this evening for administration? Seeing none, I'll move on.
Oh, Bill, I've got one. Sorry.
Sorry, Steve, I didn't see your hand up. Please proceed, Steve.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick councillor inquiry tonight. If administration could please provide an update on the status of the Francophone school site and note whether a design has been approved, and if possible, can the design be shared with council? Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Any further councillor inquiries? Oh, councillor Miller. Ashley, you have the floor.
Thank you. Mine is please provide an update on what work is currently being undertaken by the city to encourage incorporating edible plants and fruit-bearing trees into urban design and promoting or supporting community gardens.
Thank you, councillor.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any further? Oh, CEO Schwartz, you wish to speak? Oh, it had. Oh, Ms. Bujaya.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. There was also a councillor inquiry from, I believe, Councillor Munkoff-Swing. Thank you.
Okay, okay, no problem. Sam, you have the floor.
You weren't aware of it because it came up during the session here. That's why I didn't share it with you in advance.
No problem.
The inquiry based on tonight is please provide any available information on what mechanisms have been put into place to ensure residential community development concepts are not significantly changed in later stages of development. The developer enforces development architecture guidelines, and the city is compensated when the developer does not implement architectural guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. I did recall we must mention it later on in the evening, so I forgot what that was my mistake, but I wasn't aware of the other two. So that's okay. Now they're done. I can move on. Any further councillor inquiries this evening? Seeing none. We'll move on to the next part of our agenda, which is item 9A, CAO update. Mr. Schwartz, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief. I did want to make a comment about the councillor inquiries, and just for those people in the public, and we've made it into a process that, and just to reiterate, that allows us to bring the information back in the public realm so that everybody sees the answers to these inquiries. And it's, I think it's a very effective system. It sometimes may feel like it's cumbersome, but it's done that way for a purpose, so that all of our residents are able to see the answers to those questions. Very quickly then, I have a few updates. I was hoping to be able to provide you with an update on food bank, but there's still a little bit of work that's being done on a lease agreement. So they're still targeting a mid-September startup. As soon as I get some more information, I will pass it along to you. We have signed off the grant, so they're getting the money that they need from council. So well done. A couple recs. You may have seen the social media posts, but we have painted lines at J. LaPointe and the Montlay outdoor rinks for pickleball. The equipment's on the site, and we've already seen them used quite significantly. And the council shaking their head. That takes a lot of pressure off. I know that. The RV park, I'm not sure if you've been down to the Kinsman Park of late, but it's the refresh is mostly completed. We put new posts in, the new rail fence has been installed to replace the old ones. It's been made bigger at the request. There's new picnic tables and garbage cans, and there's a few other things that are on the way. I noticed it on Sunday. It looks really clean and really sharp to go with the rest of the improvements to Four Seasons. The last item I have is one that we've had a number of people inquire on, including council, and that's our infamous electronic sign on 50th Street. If you haven't noticed, and I know I have because I bugged Aaron about it yesterday or the day before, it's having meltdowns. How is it explained to me? Fuzzy fits? Anyway, that's a technical term. We've ordered parts. We've had the people look at it. The parts are on back order. So what we've been doing is when it goes into its fuzzy fits, we found that a reboot, and then it's good for a couple days, and then it goes into fuzzy fits again. So I ask anybody who's driving down 50th, if you see it doing its fuzzy fits, feel free to get a hold of us. That way we'll know we need to go out and reset it. So hopefully that'll be fixed soon, but it's been back ordered for quite a while. Yeah, so it's yeah. So that's an infamous electronic sign. Thank you. That's all I have for update.
Thank you, CEO Schwartz. Any questions for Mike this evening on anything he brought forward? All right. Thank you very much for that. The next item on agenda is notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion to be brought forward this evening? Councillor Miller.
Thank you. I'll just wait for it to, yep. All right. So this is a combination between myself and Councillor McCook. At the September 13th, 2022 council meeting, I will move that administration in consultation with local RCMP and school representatives prepare a report to council by the end of Q4 2022 on history and frequency of loitering and vandalism around school playgrounds in Beaumont, including St. Andre Academy School Playground. What actions, if any, have been taken to date? Oh my gosh, I can't read tonight, sorry. What actions, if any, have been taken, yeah, I can read, there's just a little error there, to date to address these issues, and what options, if any, are available to the city to address concerns related to this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I look forward to that motion in September. I appreciate that. Councillor McCook too, thank you for your efforts on that. Any further notices of motion from council this evening? Seeing none, we'll continue on the rest of our agenda, which brings us to the close of our meeting. So having said this, it's been 9 months we're in office as of yesterday. We've had a very busy 9 months. I think a very effective, productive 9 months. We're all probably a little bit tired, which is usually a good thing. Hopefully tired in a good way, not a bad way. So I want to wish you all a very safe and successful, happy summer break. Our next meeting is September 13th, second Tuesday in September. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting and wish you all a good summer. And thank you for your work this last 9 months. It's been very productive and very successful. With that, we are adjourned.